the percentage, if you have any idea of the percentage of certified work, that is teachers, actual teachers' work that uncertified paraprofessionals are doing in our schools across the nation, what that percentage might be. And then also, if you happen to know or have heard of what title funding is and how that actually affects the paraprofessional today. I'd like to go over, unfortunately, that students now across our nation are receiving much too much instruction from uncertified personnel, paraprofessionals, mainly in very unmonitored and unsupervised environments with very little training or direction on how to complete this instruction. And of course, this obviously hinders the fair, appropriate public education that each child is entitled to and should be given. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the purpose of the paraprofessional, and then I want to go over the legislation, recent legislation that's directly affecting paraprofessional work, as well as some guidelines and standards that I'd like to end with that'll help paraprofessionals. The actual purpose of the paraprofessional is to assist the teacher-designed education of the student with a disability. And the key word with that really is the education of the student. So when I was saying a lot of this work is being performed by uncertified personnel across our nation, actually there's studies that reveal, such as in the book Interventions for Children with Behavioral and Emotional Disorders, that over 80% of instructional time and the design and implementation of what the instruction should be is being done by paraprofessionals. And unfortunately, what occurs is their education takes on a reductionist effect and really dwindles down to a lot of different things that actually end up happening. Unfortunately, babysitting is not educating, and if you're not monitoring or supervising uncertified personnel that's had little direction, you can only imagine the type of education a lot of our students are actually receiving. Valid and reliable data collecting is crucial to the IEP, the Individual Education Plan for children with disabilities. And without valid and reliable data collection, there's no way for you to properly assess where the child is at, to be able to know what goals to make sure his education is progressively moving forward and that you're challenging children. And definitely have a lot more higher education. So there's a website, www.ets.org, and it's actually a worldwide education portal that provides assessment testing and research and products across the world, actually, to improve the education of paraprofessionals. And this is actually, as well as all certified teachers and parents and so forth, but definitely where you can find information on getting this test taken. And again, that's the www.ets.org. Local testing right here in Idaho is available with 2009 updates, or for available dates for the year 2009. You know, it's actually President Bush that stated that with his No Child Left Behind Act stated that it's because of the too many students with disabilities, as he put it, are being faced with soft bigotry of low expectations. And it's because of this that he passed No Child Left Behind Act, to make sure that higher standards are set and teaching is more instructed at helping these children achieve these higher expectations. And for more information on this, you can go to the government website at www.idea.ed.gov. The No Child Left Behind Act is actually the first terminology where you hear paraprofessional, and it's being compared to the medical professions, paramedic, or the lawyer professions, paralegal. We're finally getting the recognition that we deserve, and the respect that is should be given to us as the crucial team member with the special education teacher. And if you go to this same website, idea.ed.gov, you will find Idaho's handbook, and where they state 10 specific guiding principles that clearly state the critical education that has to be occurring, and the critical education of the paraprofessional that needs to have occurred prior to working with students. So, I can't stress more that without having creative ways to make sure we are addressing the legislation, there's a lot of different avenues that schools are really juggling things around to really make sure this happens. And there's another website I'd like to mention, the Council for Exceptional Children, and that website is escholarship.bc.edu, where they'll give you more tips on such things that are happening, like bi-weekly meetings where school districts are allowing half-hour increments to be paid added to paraprofessionals, so they can have a little bit more time spent with their special education teacher to do more ongoing training. I think that what really needs to be enforced is the fact that this training needs to occur, this basic foundational training needs to occur prior to working with children in the classroom, prior to being assigned to a special education teacher and working with these kids. And this has to be done with district personnel stepping up and making sure that they design something to get these programs established, to make sure that people are aware now, because things have changed. Paraprofessionals have been around for 40 years, and they've done a lot of babysitting these last 40 years, but things have changed. 2002, it's all different now. We have to be educating our children. It's as simple as that. And so, obviously, most important, the clear purpose is having a clear purpose of what the paraprofessional does makes you understand more why schools are having to find ways to make sure you're trained to be able to perform the way our students need us to perform. And with this training, I can't stress the emphasis on monitoring of that instructional time and proper evaluation that needs to occur. So I want you to really think about the next time that you're actually in the classroom meeting with your coworkers, and you think about the 80% of work that's being done by uncertified personnel, that make sure that you're asking questions and finding out exactly how it's pertaining to this child's individual education program, and how you're making sure that he's getting the education that's rightfully his.